more than 4,000 years ago, along the banks of the greatest river the ancient world had ever known. A civilization rose that would shape human history for millennia. This is the story of one day in the life of a ruler unlike any other, a living god on earth. The bridge between the mortal world and the divine. His word was law. His presence commanded reverence. His duties bound him from the moment he woke until he closed his eyes at night. Today, we follow a day in the life of a pharaoh from dawn to dusk. The ruler's day begins before the sun has fully risen. While his kingdom still sleeps, servants enter the royal bedchamber carrying water, oils and linens for the elaborate morning ritual. This is no ordinary washing, it is a sacred purification, preparing the ruler's body to serve as a vessel between humanity and the gods. Every detail matters. The skin is cleansed and anointed with perfumed oils pressed from lilies and moringa. A barber carefully shaves the scalp and face, for ritual purity demands the removal of all hair. Black coal, ground from galena, is painted around the eyes, not merely for beauty, but as protection against the harsh desert sun and the evil eye. Servants then dress him in fine pleated linen, white as the light of creation itself. Gold and precious stones follow, a broad collar across his chest, bracelets at his wrists, rings upon his fingers. Finally, the striped headdress is fitted into place, crowned with the rearing cobra, symbol of divine authority and protection. Nourished and prepared, the ruler moves through the palace corridors toward his morning meal. Even eating is conducted with ceremony. The food has been blessed, tasted by servants, and arranged with care. Bread, fruit, roasted fowl, cheese, and wine await him in the dining hall. Servants stand ready with fans to cool the air and vessels to refill his cup. This meal is not merely sustenance, it is an affirmation of the land's abundance, a gift from the gods he serves. But the most sacred duty of the morning lies ahead. The pharaoh is not simply a king, he is the sole intermediary between the people and the divine. Each day he must enter the private shrine within the palace to awaken the god dwelling there. This is no public spectacle. It is an intimate ritual performed in near darkness, witnessed only by a handful of priests. First comes purification. The pharaoh washes his hands in sacred water, cleansing himself before approaching the Holy of Holies. The shrine doors, sealed with clay the night before, are carefully opened. Inside, a golden statue waits, the physical vessel in which the divine presence resides. The ruler presents offerings, fresh bread, beer, flowers, and incense. He lifts each item toward the statue, speaking ancient words of devotion known only to those initiated into the mysteries. Incense smoke rises, carrying prayers upward. The pharaoh raises his arms in adoration, standing alone before the image of the god. When the ritual concludes, the priests reseal the doors with fresh clay, ensuring the sacred space remains protected until the next dawn. The divine has been honoured. Now the pharaoh may turn to matters of the earthly realm. With the gods honoured, he proceeds to the heart of earthly power, the great audience hall. Here, beneath towering columns painted in vivid reds and greens, he takes his place upon a golden throne. Before him assembles the machinery of empire, officials, scribes, priests and military commanders, each with their role in administering a kingdom that stretches across hundreds of miles. The morning's business begins with reports. Scribes read aloud from papyrus scrolls detailing harvests, flood levels, construction progress, and matters requiring royal attention. Every word is recorded by another scribe, creating the meticulous archives for which this civilization would become famous. Then come visitors from distant lands bearing tribute, gold, ivory, exotic animals, precious woods, evidence of the kingdom's reach and the respect commanded by its ruler. The gifts are inspected, acknowledged, and sent to the royal treasury. But the ruler is more than a collector of wealth. He is also the supreme judge. A common man approaches, prostrating himself completely before the throne. Perhaps it is a land dispute, a question of inheritance, or an accusation of wrongdoing. Whatever the matter, the ruler listens carefully before rendering judgment. His word is final, absolute, the very definition of law in this ancient world. When the morning's audiences conclude, the pharaoh retreats from public duty. Within the palace walls lies a private garden, an oasis of green in the desert landscape. Here, beside a still reflecting pool, shaded by palms and grapevines, the ruler can finally rest. Servants bring fresh fruit and fan the air. A pet cat sits nearby. For a brief interlude, the living god is simply a man, enjoying the simple pleasures of shade, water, and quietude under the midday sun. The afternoon brings a journey beyond the palace walls. Servants prepare the royal carrying chair, a gilded throne mounted on poles borne by 8 strong men. With guards, fan-bearers, and attendants in formation, the procession departs through the palace gates and into the world beyond. The route follows the river, passing through the agricultural heartland that sustains the kingdom. Farmers in the fields pause their work and prostrate themselves as the procession passes. This is likely the closest they will ever come to the living God who rules their world. The green fields eventually give way to sand as the procession climbs from the valley onto the desert plateau. And there, rising against the sky, stands the reason for this journey. The pyramid under construction is one of the most ambitious projects in human history. Tens of thousands of workers labour here, organised into teams that haul limestone blocks weighing several tons each. The operation runs with remarkable precision. Sledges glide over paths kept wet by water pourers. Ramps of mud brick rise along the pyramid's faces, allowing blocks to be dragged ever higher. In the masons' workshops, craftsmen shape fine white casing stones with copper tools, polishing surfaces to a mirror-like finish. The pharaoh walks among it all, observing the progress firsthand. He runs his hand across a finished stone, inspects the work on the ramps, and consults with the chief overseer about the construction's timeline. This monument is not merely a tomb. It is a statement of power, piety, and the kingdom's ability to marshal resources on an unimaginable scale. When completed, it will stand for millennia. As the afternoon light turns golden, the ruler returns to his litter. His inspection is complete. As the sun descends toward the western horizon, the procession makes its way back to the palace. The Nile gleams copper in the fading light, and the fields glow gold. Farmers pause to watch the ruler pass, then return to gathering their tools for the evening. By the time the litter arrives at the palace gates, torches have been lit along the walls, and the first stars are appearing in the darkening sky. The evening brings the day's final duty, the royal banquet. After changing into fresh garments, a newly pleated kilt, and an even more elaborate collar of gold and precious stones, the ruler enters a hall blazing with lamplight. Nobles in their finest attire recline at tables laden with roasted fowl, fresh bread, stewed meats, wine, and fruit. Musicians play harps and drums while dancers perform. Lotus blossoms float in bowls. Cones of perfumed fat melt slowly atop elaborate wigs, releasing fragrant oils. This is celebration, but also politics. A chance to honour loyal officials, receive visitors, and project the wealth and stability of the realm. The pharaoh presides over it all from an elevated platform, raising a golden cup as guests respond in kind. When he has eaten and drunk his fill, he rises, and the hall falls silent in respect as he departs. The day ends where it began, in the quiet of the bedchamber. Servants remove the heavy jewellery and ceremonial garments. The ruler lies down on his bed, head resting on the curved ivory headrest, as lamps are extinguished one by one. Outside, the palace stands silver in the moonlight beneath a sky thick with stars. Tomorrow, the cycle will begin again.